My license number is A093509. I've been in the insurance business since 1966. Just disgusted with some of the things that are going on in the industry right now. I'm licensed in every phase of insurance. I have a 218, I have a 220. 218 gives me life, health, and annuities, and the 220 gives me property and casualty. Some of the things that are going on in the industry right now are a little on the pathetic side because I see what's happening to the agents. It is the diminishing capacity of agents, and I know the reason for it. So far as leads are concerned, telling people things that aren't true, and they're trying to get you to do things that are not proper. I bought leads. It was a special deal. They gave me $300 worth of leads for $200. It amounted to a big zero. One of those leads that I got, as an example, I went to the house. In the first place, I wasn't supposed to be going to houses because this is during COVID time. I had no plans of going to people's homes. They told me, oh, these leads, you got to go to the homes. I said, okay. So I went to, as an example, one home. This guy was in a wheelchair. I had spoken to him on the phone, and he was interested in a long-term care policy. I went there and I spoke with his sister at the door. She wouldn't let me get past him at the door, or past her at the door. So that kind of came to an end. That's just one example, but there was a whole mess of them that they don't want to talk to me, and they don't, I've got their phone number some way that I shouldn't have gotten it, and it was a big problem talking to people. So I blew $200. It was out the window. I dealt with a company, an FMO, that dealt directly with an insurance company that specializes in long-term care, because that's the field that I was trying to break into. I told them I want to go with one of their good agents and see how they handle things. And I went with this agent. Spent the afternoon with her, actually. One of the cases, watched her talk to these people, this woman in particular, and twisted a life insurance policy, a final expense policy written by AIG that was half the premium of what she was proposing. And she's telling them, well, she's got a much larger accidental death benefit section, part of the policy benefit. This policy was in force for about 4 or 6 months. I don't remember exactly. This to me was disgusting. This gal should definitely lose her license. I couldn't say anything. I mean, I'm just there observing. This is the kind of salesmanship that they have. This is really pathetic. I don't even know what to say about it. I would not report her because I don't even know her name. But I do remember the sale taking effect. I went with another outfit. I didn't really sign up with them completely. I was about to. And then I checked into some of the things that they do. And they've got agents that are literally on the phone 4 or 5 hours a day, making phone calls to people with Medicare Advantage plans. They're trying to sell Medicare Advantage plans. You're not, as far as I know, you're not allowed to do that. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, those are illegal phone calls. And this is something I won't be connected with. Anything that is unethical. Now, unethical is not illegal. It's a lot more restrictive than illegal because it includes a lot more things than illegal does. At any rate, this is just some of the things. Went to, let's put it this way. I dealt with the company, Freedom Health Plan, a Medicare Advantage company. Very fine company. I went with them, and after AEP, I resigned from the company because the management or the manager was a woman who thought she was the boss instead of a sales manager. And I wouldn't deal with that. And they knew that I didn't need the job. It's just that I got into it on a contracted basis. So I resigned. But what's going on today is absolutely ridiculous. And these leads are not leads. They give you something and they turn it over to somebody else and to somebody else. They're bringing in people into this industry. They don't want to work that hard, these people. So they're looking to buy leads. And they can't get leads that are true leads. They're spending a lot of money for nothing. I've got outfits that are telling me I've got 20, let me see, was it 20 appointments? No, 10 appointments, $2,500, 10 appointments. Now, I'm not going to spend $2,500 for 10 appointments. I'd rather put that into advertising and maybe get 50 appointments out of it. But this is what they're doing. Then there's another outfit that I talked with. They want $3,000 with a minimum of 3 months. So that's $9,000 commitment. I'm not going to make a $9,000 commitment. I'm just very upset with what's going on in the industry because they're destroying it. When I came into the business, I started with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. I had a manager. That manager took me out and made sales with me. I got the commissions. He got the override. And then he kept on getting overrides because I kept on writing business, even without him. In 9 months' time, they made me a manager. They asked me if I would take over a unit because the guy had a heart attack. So I said, yeah, okay. I took over a unit of 5 people, turned it into 7 people. I made $1 million producers in their first year. All right, this is back in the 60s. I wrote half their business, all of them. I did very well. I was making good money. I left Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. I don't remember how long I was with them. All right, but I moved to Florida. I don't know what's going on, but I do see young people are not looking to get into the insurance business because of all of this. And the older people can't get out of it because the young people won't come in and take it over. I don't know what to tell you. All I can tell you is that the lead systems are not true lead systems. They tell you that these leads are purely your lead. Not going to give it to anybody else. I've heard nightmares, absolute nightmares from agents of how much money, 15, 20, 30, 50,000. Some of them have gone into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in leads, and they made some money. But who was making the money? The lead company. They weren't really making money. They were making enough money to pay for the leads. But that was, that's not money.
Martin, let me jump. Metropolitan Life back in the 1960s, 70s, today. I have had people on my 6-day per week video conference call. New York Life in particular, I do remember one woman. She says no one in New York Life buys leads. It's a foreign concept.
The leads that I got with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, my manager literally got mortgage leads. I worked for mortgage leads. And I taught my agents to work for mortgage leads. One of them wound up getting involved with a guy. His name was Dave Groats. Dave Groats was vice president of New York State Teachers Association. Holy Christmas, he fell into it. I went to the house, and we left the house with a $100,000 whole life policy. Now, back then, that was a pretty good deal. $100,000 whole life policy was generated from a mortgage lead. You never know what you're going to step into, but that's where we got the leads from.
Let me jump in. There is such an issue. If you go to naaip.org/lead-services, a huge amount of information about leads, and there is a paragraph there about mortgage leads. I personally spoke to a list company that told me the scoop. Every Thursday morning in the county courthouse, a list comes out of people who bought mortgages the previous week. He has the list only for the big counties, not the small counties in South Dakota, Nebraska. But there's a limited amount of names on this list, and it happens to be that's a true mortgage. Like, I suppose someone who just bought a house and took out a mortgage, they're getting 15 letters that particular week. The gentleman from the list company tells me you have to be the first one to get that in the mailbox. So if your lead company is in Nebraska and you live in Florida, mail takes a long time to get there. So you have to send it locally. If you know there's 15 people sending a postcard that week, probably a good idea to handwrite something, make yours a little bit more special, but that's besides the point. But that's a true mortgage lead. There's a limited amount of them out there. In your county, where do you live right now?
I'm in Marion County in Florida.
There may be 100, 200, 150, 300 people buying mortgages every week in that county. It's at the county courthouse. If you get that list, you're good to go. If you work for a marketing company, an IMO, et cetera, that has 50 agents in their office, they're not going to give that list to those 50 people. That's how you literally make money in the mortgage protection market, by getting that list.
That's where I made my money with Metropolitan years ago. The thing is, I moved to Florida and I did all kinds of things. I did a lot of canvassing, etc. And I wound up getting my property and casualty license because I wanted to be professional. It grew from there. Then I opened up my own agency in 77. And in 2004, I sold a book of business and got out of it. $3.5 million book of business I sold. I worked for a guy named Rocco Contini. He's a brilliant individual, a guy that didn't have a high school diploma. He had CIUs. He couldn't get a CIU because he didn't have a high school diploma. But he had a whole bunch of people that were CIUs working for him, and they didn't know what he knew. His knowledge was extensive, but he did it on his own. That's where I got my start, and it was his partner that got me into Contini Jensen Incorporated, that got me into property and casualty. And then I went in mostly commercial. That's what I dealt with.
Let me ask you, Martin, did you take a look at the Greg Birch whistleblower interview?
Yes.
You contacted me after you got that. What was your reaction to that interview with Greg Birch?
I'm very upset at what's going on with the leads. I mean, I'm not going to bother with leads because it's just a waste of money. And I mean a waste of money. It's ridiculous. They used to do, a lot of people got into seminars. Seminars are very expensive, but they usually turned out something. There's a lot of ways to get leads, but these lead companies, as far as I'm concerned, from what I see, they're not lead companies. I don't know where they get their information from. The people, in most cases, that don't even want to talk to you.
You did heard when Greg Birch stated thousands of agents bought thousands of leads and made zero sales.
My reply to that is it's absolutely true.
In essence, what you're telling us, the leads you bought for a couple $100 a couple years ago were a complete waste of money. It was throwing money down the drain.
Absolutely. It was throwing money down the drain because and I got I got them in my computer actually somewhere. These people, they got permission from the people for me to call them, which I did do. One thing that they did, which was very clever, is they asked the person, what's your favorite color? This way, those people would know that I come from those people. But I still never got any business out of it.
Do you believe that they were selling the leads to multiple other people?
I don't think it matters what I believe in that particular respect. It's a good probability. Other people got to them before me and they'd already bought insurance. They weren't really interested. They just wanted to get the people up the phone. All I know is that they gave me a bunch of names and they gave me color that the guy. Some people refused to give any color information, but most of them did give a color. And I call them up and I try to speak with them, and they still don't want to talk to me.
It's the new agents who are being recruited by marketing companies. If these agents can be convinced to spend thousands of dollars of leads right from the get-go, that's where the big issue is. Definitely, we want people to subscribe, the thumbs up. I'm trying to interview people specifically who'll show up in federal court as witnesses. Martin, you do have some insight in the industry regarding leads and how the proper way to make money. If anyone else who's listening to this call wants to tell their story, specifically regarding this latest and greatest technique about getting new agents to empty out their bank account to buy leads, specifically people who've listened and heard the Greg Birch interview, that's who I want to talk to. Martin, you've been in this business for quite a while. We did the interview a couple of days ago. You wanted to get one more or a couple more points in there. Tell me what you were dying to say or you were really wanted to say.
Well, it seems that the companies, these lead companies now are starting to switch off to appointment companies. I just wanted to bring out one fact to you. There was one company that contacted me and they said, we guarantee you 20 appointments a month. When your interest is peaked, they tell you, we split the commissions. That's fine. You're going to supply me with appointments. We can split the commissions. It's no cost to me. That's what they told me. Then the next thing I hear is I got to pay the solicitor $100 a day. Probably think I got stupid written across my forehead. I don't know. There was another company, a major FMO, that wants me to solicit $4 a day on the phone in their office, making illegal calls because Medicare Advantage plans, you can't solicit on the phone. You're not allowed to do that. That's a big no-no. What I'm saying to you is there are all kinds of things going on right now with these lead companies I really wish these FMOs would stop selling leads. They tell you they're not selling leads. They are selling leads. They're not just selling them to you. They're selling them to every agent they can come up with. From my perspective, the FMOs, companies selling leads, should be shut down. There's no reason why you have to buy a lead that's sold to other people. This should be exclusive. And they're not exclusive. Companies are doing all kinds of things that are really wrong. I'm very upset with it. They're just plain crooked. There has to be a proper way to do these things, and I don't know exactly what the answer is as to how to do it. But when you get solicited directly by the company, FMO, and they tell you one thing and it's not true, you go on leads. Then they tell you when you got the leads, oh, you have to go directly to the house. Don't call the people. Go directly to the house. Why? Especially during a pandemic that this was going on. I don't understand it. I really don't. And something's got to be done. Somebody's got to do something about it.
That one statement you made that the IMOs that sell leads should be shut down.
That's my
Based on
opinion.
your-
Yeah, because they're not doing things legitimately.